Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2, Episode 6. It's called The Schizoid Man. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And this episode features a old scientist who's well renowned and, much loved and respected by his peers and everyone in the community. But he's dying, and he does something a little bit dirty. He tries to steal Data's body and take it for himself. So that's
temporarily succeeds as well.
Yes. So that's the premise of the episode. I shall ask the Z question. Connor, did you enjoy The Schizoid Man?
Yeah, it's not bad actually. That fun.
I mostly had fun as well. I think I don't know if it's going to go down as like one of the best episodes ever by any means, but Brent Spiner playing a different version or playing a different character essentially. Whilst he's still technically Data, was pretty fun for the most part. Especially since he kept bad mouthing or saying things to Picard that would Picard's like, "What did you just say, Commander? What was that? What are you saying?"
Yeah. So, those were fun. I also think the cold open might be my favorite one yet.
Yeah, we have to talk about Data with a beard. Oh my god.
Yeah. Someone likes Riker's new beard.
Someone does. Someone in the prop department. I don't know. Does a fake beard fall under props or hair and makeup? See, normally I'd say
who found it.
Yeah, normally I would say it's clearly hair and makeup. However, in this case, it's supposed to look a fake beard, so I'm not sure if it's just like a shitty fake beard because therefore it's a prop, as opposed to hair and makeup. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So it's all very funny. I love that Troy can't even withstand her laughter and has to run out of the room.
Just has to laugh and walk out. It's great.
Yeah. She invites Geordi and Troy to see it, and it's like, okay, Geordi we get. We've seen them be friends before, and Picard even calls them best friends later in the episode. But Troy, I was like, oh, Troy. Okay, Troy's the other one that he wants there. Okay.
Yeah. He needs a woman's opinion.
I don't know if it's that. I think it's because he knows that she's into Riker, and he wants to like, hey, what do you think of me now?
I'm surprised none of them overtly commented on the clear inspiration.
Yes.
Because I thought, it's almost like, okay, no, Data looks up to Riker, right? And this is his way of showing it,
like an older brother.
Weirdly.
Yeah, like an older brother.
I'm genuinely surprised they didn't actively comment on it. But it was funny all the same, and I enjoyed it.
So they go to this planet because there's been a distress call about this old dude's health. Ira Graves is the name of the dude, Dr. Ira Graves, and they don't hear anything back from him. Those distress calls went out from his assistant, but they're not communicating. And we find out later it's because he wouldn't want to actually call for help, so she's just hiding it by turning off all the comms essentially. But on the way, they get a distress call from a ship that basically the passengers are suffocating, so they have to go help the ship. It's like, this is like priority one. So they come out of warp just quick enough so that they can beam down a party to the planet to help the Doctor. And Pulaski doesn't go. We get a Vulcan Doctor who's on the ship, who I don't think we've seen before. At least if we have, wasn't memorable.
Which was Pulaski in the opening of this episode?
She was given the special appearance credit after the titles. She wasn't in the opening, but that may have been true for all the episodes for all I know.
No, she wasn't in the very opening of the episode itself, in the cold open. I feel like, did she have a line at the start?
Oh no, she because she talks about how well renowned the Doctor is, because it's her that introduces him.
That's it, yeah. So that's why I thought it was really weird when she wasn't the Doctor gone down to it. That seemed weird.
Yeah, but they go down, and there's a little joke here where because they just came out of warp, the beam is a little bit wonky. It's a bit weirder than normal. And Troy, when they land, Troy's like, for a second there, I thought I was trapped in that wall. And Worf's like, for a second you were.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they go down there. The Enterprise goes off to deal with the other crisis. We don't see the other crisis. It's an excuse for them to be away for a while we're dealing with just the party.
Yeah,
and. So this Ira is a bit of a chauvinistic pig. Let's be honest.
Egotistical dickbag.
I could not believe because he goes up to Troy. It says, "Oh, look at this fine specimen of a woman," or something to that effect. And then Troy says, "I thought you didn't like people," and he responds with, "Women aren't people; they're women." And I thought,
It's weird that he means that as a compliment.
He does. He's trying to say you're better than the men, or
because
whatever.
there's a scale, because there's women at the top, then there's people, and then there's doctors.
Yes. He doesn't like doctors. He makes that very clear.
I actually, because that bit made him like sort of like likable at first, where he talks about no one likes doctors, but he makes this comment and tries to doctors aren't people. And he goes, oh no, ask any patient, and it kind of okay. He seems eccentric, but reasonable, and then quickly gets way worse.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think the episode's done anything wrong. It's just this character's that way, and that's whatever. But I think for me, I feel like because Troy just stands there and lets him kiss her hand and says, "Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you." After he says that, and I couldn't help but feel that today, if they were writing this episode and that line was there, they wouldn't have had her respond that way. They'd have had her react to what you just said.
She's being extremely diplomatic.
Extremely diplomatic. But he's a little grump as well, and he thinks he's better than everyone else. But Data goes to speak to him, and they kind of. There's a funny little moment actually before this. His assistant, who's never seen a Klingon before, goes up to Worf and is like, "Are you a Romulan?" He's like, "How dare you say such a thing?" And then Ira says, you must forgive her. She's never seen anyone. Now, they look very different, but they do actually act very similar, despite that. And then Worf's like, how dare I stand here and take such insults, or something like that. He's livid.
Yeah, but then he notices Data and he recognizes the work of, because the guy who built Data was his student, essentially.
But yeah, so Data, he asked Data to call him Grandpa. So Data keeps calling him Grandpa, which has a lot of funny moments actually, where he kind of calls him Grandpa after he says something really, like, because he says at one point, "I was a lady killer in my day," and he was like, "Wait, you condone homicide?" He's like, "It's an expression." Data, but he says, "You condone homicide, Grandpa." It was just the way he said it. It was like such a Data line.
It was.
But yeah, so he says, "Oh, I technically can die. I have an off switch. For all intents and purposes, I'm dead. I don't like to think about it though." And then of course Ira gets this look in his eye and he's like, "Where would one maybe find this out? Don't tell me actually."
Because Data starts to just does it. He's like, I want the challenge."
And of course, next time we see Data, he just walks in the room and goes, "Yeah, that's it. Ira's dead. He snuffed it." But already, this is the thing about the acting here, is that Spiner's body language and the way he delivers these lines,
it's relaxed.
It's just enough for us to know that we know exactly what's happened. Yeah. Ira's put himself inside Data, but it's not so extreme at this point that it's not enough to be saying, "Oh, while all the other characters looking at him and going, you're acting weird, Data," yet, because that comes later, and because he does act really weird.
He does, yeah, and with good reason. But not immediately for them. They wouldn't be questioning it. Maybe they're going, well, he just watched his grandfather die. Maybe he's taking it weirdly.
And there's also this kind of it's also wrapped up in just finding out this person's just died. So there's a lot of emotion in the room, and so. And we find out, of course, that he had feelings for his assistant, who's like a third of his age. She's like 25, and he's like,
but she
70.
also admits that she does have some feelings for him, but he's just too old.
Yeah, obviously, the age just made it impossible.
But she admits, if he was younger or she was older, then things could have been very different.
So we get back on the ship, and they're going to give Ira, his body a funeral. They've got his coffin in the transport beam, and all the main crew are standing around, including Wesley for some. Like, I get the rest of them, because the rest of them are the head of departments, and it's first and second officer, blah blah blah. But I was like, Wesley's just an ensign who's on the bridge. Like, why is he here?
Because reasons.
Yes. So Picard gives a little speech, and then Ira Data.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, anyone else wants to say a few words?"
Yeah. I was just trying to think of what to call him to make it clear that we're talking about Ira and Data's body. So
I think we'll just call him Ira.
Ira, okay. Ira's like, "No, I could say a few words," and Picard's like, "Oh, please do." And this is where we get the speech, where he's like, "Yes, to know him was to love him, and to love him was to know him, and those who knew him loved him, and those who didn't loved him."
From afar.
From afar. And I was also like, "Oh, he never thought about himself. He was so selfish. He always, it was an area thought about himself.
So humble."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this guy giving himself the best eulogy possible while calling himself humble.
It's beautiful, and of course, eventually Picard just says, "You're finished, Data. Quit this right now." And
He's like, I just want to say, it's like, nope, you are done.
they get back to the bridge, and Wesley's like, "Data, what was that? To know him was to love him? Was to love him was to know him? What? Didn't I realize you had such a way with words, Commander Data?" He's like, "A boy of your age will never understand. You know, when you get to my age," and he's like, "Technically, you're about the same age as I am."
Yeah, like, chronologically, you're only a little bit older. And he's like, well, you're as old as you feel.
Yes, and everything. And I love how behind him, the whole scene, like Riker almost says nothing this episode, but behind him, Riker's just got this grin in his face. He's listening to Data sound so weird. He's like, "What's going on?" He didn't even see the beard. Like, imagine if Riker saw the Riker beard on him.
Oh no, he's like, Data, what are you doing being all philosophical? Just relax.
Yeah, and of course, this is where Picard brings on the assistant, Karine? Yeah, Karine. And she is on the bridge, and Picard's like, "Oh, I thought you'd like the bridge. You know, there's a viewfinder, and
Look at the stars.
Look at stars, and there's just the signs, computers over here, blah, blah, blah." And Data's like, he has this little comment under his breath about, "Oh, I wonder why he's, like showing her around. Oh, this is not a platonic relationship." He says something like that, really sort of jealous, like. And Picard, like, obviously hears part of it, and is like, "What was that, Commander Data?" Like, "Oh, nothing at all, sir." It's, but the stare that happens after he claims he said nothing, it lasts a while. Like,
it does.
There's a tension in the room, and everyone's like, "What did Data just do? What the hell?" And Wesley leans over, is like, "Data, what's wrong?
Are you playing it?"
Yeah. And of course he has another comment when he's still talking to Wesley about the hypocrisy, and why wasn't he just admit it? And I used to Picard go, "Admit what, Commander Data? What's going on?" It's like, this is not a professional relationship. There's an attraction here, and it feels so awkward because A, there isn't, but B, because like it's just so awkward to suggest this in front of everyone, and Picard to have to defend himself, like, "Wait, what? I'm not I'm not lusting over the 25-year-old."
And Ira's there going, and she's not interested in older men anyway.
Yeah, that's the line that should have gave it away to a few of them. Troy should have really clocked that moment.
Yeah, because this is the bit where obviously they start to suspect, because Troy's like, "Oh, I felt human emotion, jealousy. I've never felt that from Data before. It's weird." But I think she could have got a little bit further on this hunch.
Mm-hmm. So Picard wants to know what's wrong with him, and they do some tests. Physically, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with his hardware. And Troy's like, "Well, maybe it's his mind. Maybe we should do some, testing in that sense." So they're doing this testing, and Picard talks to Geordi to try and like, "Hey, like you're kind of his best friend. Like, can you think of any reason why he'd be acting weird?" He's like, "Well, sometimes he tries really hard to be human, and he struggles. So
he gets lost in it."
Yeah. So maybe that's what's happened here. In fact, that reminds me, there was a neat moment actually when earlier on when Data was still Data, where Ira cracked a joke and he said it was funny, and Data's like, "Oh, I've had great trouble, deciding what is funny." And I thought, oh, that's a nice little callback to.
Yeah, obviously you had the more direct reference with Data's origin, and then that there's a sense of continuity in this episode.
Yeah, I mean the origin, at least, like, I feel like the origin's always going to stick there just because it's always his origin. So whenever the reference is past,
but it's more just, I don't expect to be referenced that often. So when it's like, oh, this is, there's this relationship to that person, it was just a sense of continuity.
There's definitely more awareness from the writers of continuity in this show, even if it's not that like deep compared to like what we think of as continuity now. But there's definitely little things here or there that just feel connected in the background. But Troy comes in and is like, "Okay, so there's like two personalities in Data, and obviously one's Data himself and one's Ira. But Ira's in control, and Data's going to slip away if we don't solve this."
Yeah, and they haven't even got quite that far yet. She describes the personality, talks about it.
It's actually Picard who clocks it. It's Picard who...
It is.
Because it intercuts with Ira talking to Karine, the assistant, and kind of reveals to her, "You know who I am. Like, we can be... I'll build you an android body, and we can both live forever, and we'll see the end of the world, or the end of the universe, even." And it intercuts with...
she's horrified.
Yeah, it intercuts with Picard kind of putting two together, because Troy's like describing this, like, abrasive, egotistical, and Picard's like, "Does that sound familiar?" Like,
there's someone else they question though, isn't there? Because she describes that as the personality, and then I'm sure there's someone else there who describes Ira. And then Picard looks at Troy. It's like, oh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? I'm forgetting. Maybe it was Troy describing Ira.
Possibly, yeah. I don't remember anyone else. I remember just her and Geordi being in the scene. I don't remember anyone else being there.
Maybe that's right. Because it comes up, before where she describes the personality, and then this time where he describes Ira, I think.
Yeah. So they put it together, but he ends up breaking Kareen's hand because because Data's obviously got more strength being an android, and when Picard goes to confront him because he's in the engine room and he's knocked out Geordi, he's knocked out whoever was down there because they tried to tell him that he couldn't be there, that he wasn't allowed, and Picard comes in, and Picard actually gets knocked out at the end of the scene. Picard's trying to convince him that, hey, no, Data's a life form. Just because he's not technically human doesn't mean he's any lesser than a human being is. He still deserves to live. He deserves not to have his life robbed because you want to steal more time.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty great scene.
It's pretty good. No, it's very, like, I think it's kind of touching because Picard's sticking up for Data, and you really feel this kind of the bond there.
It's one of those moments where it's elevated by the acting.
Of course, absolutely. But it's also just kind of baked into the idea of Star Trek, right? The beliefs of Star Trek. But the idea that Picard's sticking up for Data and really cares about Data, because knowing from the later movies that I have seen, like, there's a bond there, and it's something that the show's going to like play with over the course of the whole thing.
Sure.
So seeing this sort of early part of it, this early stage of it, is really sweet. And of course, after he knocks out Picard, it's when Ira finally, because he wants to do experiments and be a scientist for eternity and everything else. But after he knocks out Picard, he's like, that was another accident. How many more accidents am I going to have? So he actually makes his own choice. And I think this is actually maybe the best choice the writers made in the episode, is that they didn't have to restrain him and take it out of him. They didn't have to force him to do anything. He made a choice to realize that, no, he should let Data live and that his knowledge can exist in some other form. So he puts his knowledge into the computer. It does not go with his personality. It does not go with his human qualities or anything. It's just the raw information, the raw data and knowledge that he had.
Yeah.
Because in the computer. So it's in the ship itself. And he gives Data back. So they come in to find Data lying on the floor. And Data like wakes up and he's like, why am I on the floor in this position? And why are the four of you like standing around me, looking down at me, Liz?
And like, yep, he's back.
And Picard's like, yeah, I've heard enough. That's Data's back. You're yourself again. Yeah. Right, off we go. And so they drop off the assistant, and they have some fun at Data's expense. They talk about him like because he can't remember anything, so they bring up like him fighting. Like
Wesley's quoting back the eulogy at him.
Yeah, he quote that back. It's you got into a fight with a Klingon thingamajig, and he's like, did I win? And there's a little joke at the end. This actually did oddly remind me a little bit of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, specifically the pack from season 1, where Xander is possessed by a hyena, and at the end he claims to not remember anything, but actually does. This was actually the reverse, where he doesn't remember anything. Not that he claims that he did.
It's not like that at all, because he doesn't claim that he does remember.
But no, but the scene reminded me of that in a lot of ways. Just because if in that Buffy episode they're telling him things like, oh, you ate a pig, and he's like, was it cooked and called bacon? In this episode he's like, I fought a what? Did I win? Just that part of it reminded me of it. Even though Xander was faking it, of course. Data's not. Oh, actually, I laughed at one. There was two things I laughed at. One was now that I was in Data's body, when he walks out into the ship for the first time, and he sees like a female officer walk past. He kind of like eyes her up and goes, "Ooh!" And I thought, "Yep, Data's fully functional. We've learned this." The second thing is when they're doing the mental test on him and they're showing him all these images on the screen in front of him. One of them's Tasha. Tasha's actually in the loop to provoke a reaction. That also made me laugh because, as you know, Tasha had her way with Data.
She did indeed.
She's the reason why we know Data is fully functional.
It's such an impactful legacy to leave behind, isn't it?
I love the idea that when they were, the guy building Data is like, oh, he used to have a penis and it needs to be able to erect. Like, it has to have that functionality.
No, I get from the creator's point here. If he's trying to
create a human life form,
right? It kind of has to. It's. I don't think he's thinking, oh, it can physically procreate, but it has to be able to have the experience.
I love that, and I get that it's Star Trek, so it was like a 3D like printer that did it. But I love the idea of this scientist sitting around with like
Chiseling
a
it.
chiseling a Data's cock.
Yeah, chiseling is way funnier.
Oh, how much?
How old are we?
How much will we bring up Data Dick over the course of these 7 seasons and 4 movies? I don't know.
I'll be honest, I've already lost count.
Hey, more than actually that, there's going to be, well, technically not Data, but there's going to be more Picard. But Data is going to be brought up again in the new show as well, so we've got a lot going on. And Tara's on record, by the way, because she heard you complain about, oh, it's not for me because I've not seen the previous shows. She's like, if Cora wants to drop out, she'll happily step in and review Picard. That was offered most graciously.
Sure it was.
But yeah, that is a Schizoid Man. This is a fun episode. I have no real complaints. The only sort of negative I say is that it's not maybe an amazing episode, but it's a solid one, and I had fun hating the bad guy. I like that he made the choice on his own at the end. I like all the fun with Data acting out a character and all the others kind of reacting to it,
and some good acting with the differences in personality.
Yeah, Spire did a really good job with that. It was fun seeing him kind of smirk out a character, and we kind of saw that a little bit with the episode with Lore last season.
A little bit. This is very different again, wasn't it? Because this was also egotistical, but superior, but in a very different way.
Yeah.
This was smarmy old man.
This was smarmy old man, exactly. So yeah, it was a solid episode. So hey,
yeah,
thumbs up.
So what we got next?
What do we have next? That's a good question. So episode 7, which is the next episode, is Unnatural Selection.
It's a good title.
Enhanced DNA developments trigger an epidemic of rapid aging. Oh god, we're doing rapid aging again?
Oh god, the old age makeup is back.
Obviously the original series did this. I wonder, did they do this like every season? Did they do like a sequel episode to the original? Because obviously we did the Naked Now last season.
If this can come close to the Naked Now, we're in for a treat.
Caught amongst its victims is Dr. Pulaski. Okay.
Probably the most boring choice.
Well, it's amongst the victims. Like I assume some other main characters might,
probably, but that implies to me she's the main focus.
Possibly. I do wonder though if they play with the idea that Data can't be affected by this, so he's like a secret weapon and fighting it.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see how that is. See how that is next week. But that was the Schizoid Man episode 6. Do let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get a bunch of bonuses, but keep all the content coming, including you get early access to these Star Trek reviews. You get these a week early as well, some other stuff. So go and have a look and see if you want to do that. Check out other content we have. We have classic reviews of Twilight Zone going up every week with myself and Tara, and me and Connor are also a bit more sporadically, but we're doing Firefly as well, which obviously isn't as old as some of these other shows, but as a classic show in the sense that
it's getting on an age.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 17 years old now. Like, it's getting there.
Hey, it's coming up on 20. It's becoming old by TV standards.
In 2022, we can call it 20 years old. Until then, not so much.
Yeah, close enough.
We'll be into Marvel Phase 5 by then, so we're not quite there yet. I'm not ready to say that.
Jesus Christ. That's. I think you're actually right, aren't you? But
yeah, because Phase 4 is only 2 years. Phase 4 is 2020 and 2021, so we're going to be in Phase 5.
It's a really short phase, but I assume that's because they're stacking the TV shows in as well and counting them, so it kind of feels like an equal amount of content.
It does. The Disney Plus stuff included, but it does mean that there's a whole round of sequels that aren't in Phase 4 that are going to be in Phase 5 instead, and presumably the first hints of Fantastic Four and maybe X-Men. So
yeah, probably.
So that's the thing. Anyway, that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates. We love you loads. Keep watching Star Trek. And to everyone but Connor, live long and prosper.